Welcome back to Effort Value Expertise, the Heart Gold, Soul Silver Effort Value Training Series put on by me, DeoGenZ. And today, what we are focusing on is physical attack. So, you want yourself an offensive sweeper, you say. Well, make sure that you have Pokerus enabled on that poke that you're going to be training. Look for one of the beneficial natures towards offensive attack, which is listed on the sidebar there. And for your information, they all increase your natural ability of offensive attack, however they diminish another stat. So pay attention to this, and my personal recommendation is, if possible, at all times go with Adamant, of course unless you're trying to use a strategy that utilizes a Pokemon with less speed in some sort of Trick Room tactic, in which case you'd want the Brave nature. But starting from the top of the list, Adamant nature will decrease special attack, which, as you can tell, with something that's going to be purely offensive physical attacking, special won't play a role whatsoever, nor will it diminish any of your other stats. A Brave nature, the reason it's so beneficial for a Trick Room physical offensive sweeper, is due to the fact that it diminishes speed. Naughty will take away special defense, and Lonely will take away from physical defense. So you can see why Brave and Adamant are at the top of the list there. They're most desired for effort value metagame championships when you're trying to not diminish any stat that's unnecessary or could be a linchpin in your game, i.e. your defensive natures. By planning your metagame strategy in advance, you can save yourself a lot of time by getting the correct nature that won't hinder your poke but instead enhance it, with things like speed diminishing for the Trick Room strategies. And if you want to know about these said strategies, go on over to Planet Poke to check out my Pokemon of the Week series, where I tell you how to raise metagame monsters masterfully. Now you may be wondering, why am I doing all this EXP spamming? Well, that's just it. Machop, being born from the nursery, is new, so it needs some experience points before it's able to fight the correct Pokemon on its own. So after tons more times of that, Machop finally evolves. And you may wonder now, well, what is the correct Pokemon? If you're trying to raise effort values in attack, you're going to want to go to a specific area in Heart Gold and Soul Silver to fight a specific Pokemon, thankfully one that only shows up in this spot. But before we head to that spot, let's go to our local department store, which in Heart Gold and Soul Silver is Goldenrod City. Go up to the 4th floor and check out the medicinals. Now what we have are not really medicines but vitamins, and these, as I mentioned in my introduction video, will boost your effort values in whatever stat you choose 10 points. So in this case you're going to need protein for attack, and you can do this 10 times to max out the effort values with vitamins to 100. So skipping to Eckertique City, when we head east towards Mount Mortar, we locate our prime position for picking up effort values in attack. This little fish pond right in front of Mount Mortar is a gold mine for attack EVs, because it's full of Goldeen! And the best thing about this training spot, and why I picked it for this episode of attack training, is because this is all you're going to find here. Only Goldeens and sometimes Sea Kings, which, thankfully, only give you effort values in attack. Some Pokemon will give you effort values in attack and an additional sum in other stats, which if you're just trying to max out attack and not other things, you would want to avoid. Luckily, Sea King gives you 2, so if you happen to see it, wahaha, like here, we get 2 effort values for the price of 1 fish. So I encourage you all to keep track of the Pokemon that you've taken out, and since they're all Goldeens and Sea Kings, you can count them according to the Macho Brace or Power Bracer calculations that we did in the first episode to see how much via your power points you've earned. Or if you want to go with the notebook and just tally off how many Goldeen versus how many Sea King, you can quickly calculate out by a multiplier of how much effort values you have in that stat. And to be sure that you've maxed out all your effort values, you want to go to Blackthorn City and talk to the girl in the upper area house. She'll have someone in there, I believe, who has a Pokemon out of their Pokeball. But that will only happen if you max out all the effort values. In this episode, I'm simply showing you how to max out attack so that your physical stats are the most preferable. In other episodes, you can decide how you want to make combinations of different sets of stats, whether it's attack and defense, attack and speed, attack and HP, whatever you want to do, depending on your strategy. You can come back to this series to find that out. Now, a quick side note on effort values and gaining experience points. I had viewer Blazivore correct me in that the mechanics for this generation, now check this out, BAM! +9 in attack. That's effort value training in effect. When it comes to experience gaining, whether it's switching out or battling in front or experience share, that Pokemon will, if they've gained experience, also gain some effort values. I don't know how this works for pokes that only have one effort value point to give, and since I haven't noticed this switch since Generation 3, I suppose, you have to take this into effect and look at the berry chart from the previous episode to see which berries you'll need to make sure that your poke has a clean slate before you go off into this pond. One last bit of information that I want to share with you is the other additional Pokemon in the Heart Gold Soul Silver game that you can encounter for effort value points. They all have different varying degrees of effort values they give, but the max effort values I've seen being given out by any poke at one time is 3. Sometimes when you see a little white star asterisk mark near that Pokemon sprite, this will be indicating that they also give you EVs in something else, so be aware of that. Also, here is the set of trainers to call for the best maximization in effort values for attack. It's unfortunate that you don't have the Versus Seeker, which I find to be more effective in effort value training. That's why I personally like training in Platinum, but I guess we'll have to do a separate series for that. But these, when you can call them on their appropriate times, are the trainers you want to encounter for the best results and quickest leveling up of your attack EVs. Well, that wraps it up for another episode of Effort Value Expertise. I'm DeoGenZ, reminding you to subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this content and found it useful in your own metagame matches, and reminding you that I also have a Pokemon of the Week series on Planet Poke that suggests some good pokes to start with if you're just thinking of building a team. There's over 50 episodes there, so there's plenty of pokes to choose from multiple tiers. And be sure to check out the first episode of Effort Value Expertise if anything in this video slightly confused you, such as the power items or the berries required to remove and make your Pokemon a clean slate of effort values. Thanks for watching!